Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's movie blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. How is everyone doing this evening? Welcome back to the One Man Low Council and also to episode 159 of the Welcome to Asgard podcast, where tonight, during the main show, of course, we'll be talking about Regal Cinemas is now officially starting to reopen. Here in the United States, they'll be reopening starting July 10th. So I'm quite excited about that because I have at least one Regal theater that is nearby to me. And we'll be talking, of course, tonight about the fact that there have been several movies that Odin has actually been able to watch recently, a couple of which I have yet to review and plan to review for the channel, including films like Guns Akimbo, starring Daniel Radcliffe, where one day he wakes up with guns attached to his hands. Yeah, let's talk about that movie. And I'm about 75%, 80% of the way through the movie Dune, and I've already pretty much made my mind up on the film because it's a David Lynch film, and David Lynch is very specific about the kind of films that he likes to make, and I've pretty much made up my mind at this point that I don't think I'll ever like a David Lynch film, because this is now the second David Lynch film that I've watched and have almost completely hated, though I will say Eraserhead, in my opinion, is much worse. But of course, all of that must take second place to the big news of the evening. And the big news of the evening is the fact that Jeremy is live streaming while I'm live streaming. You might have thought, oh, the big news is the fact that Jeremy got canceled off Twitter. That Naughty Dog went after his Twitter account. Well, let me put it this way. When you have, 20 plus DCMAs against your account, what do you think is going to happen, Jeremy? When you keep on putting out copyrighted material, what do you think is going to happen? Think they're just going to leave you alone? Patooey, of course not. But you have to go and stream when I'm streaming. You have to go and try and take over my time. You know what happens, Jeremy? You know what happens when you stream when I stream? You want to know what happens when you cross the streams here on the One Man Low Council on Tuesday nights? Everyone around here knows what happens. And it's this.
You leave me no choice but to declare you excommunicado.
Damn right. Jeremy, I have to declare you excommunicado. I have to do it. I have to do it. Now you join the ranks of Josiah Rises and Rosetta Allen as a part of the excommunicado of the OMB podcast. So, thank you very much. I've been wanting to add someone else to it, and now, Jeremy, you're there. But anyway, hope everyone is doing well this evening. Very glad to see everyone in here. Let's start over on D-Live because I still want to make up for the fact that D-Live went down a couple of streams ago. So let's go ahead and see who is over there right now. We got Captain, Adam Frank in the clan over there. What's going on, Captain Adam? We got Captain Mr. Roy, Captain the K-Man saying, what up, D-Live? What up going on, fam? How's it going? Captain Mr. Roy once again saying hello. Captain D-Nice says, hello, D-Live fam. What's up? Says Captain K-Man. He also says, great news to hear Regal reopening. Hopefully my city lets them because our governor postpones reopening the city every week. I'll be glad when I can move. Well, very, very much hoping that the theaters reopen near you. As I said, in the United States, it is around July 10th that they plan to start reopening the theaters. Of course, in the states and in the cities and in the towns that actually allow them to reopen, they're obviously still very much restricted by whatever the local law says. And so you can imagine a lot of theaters in New York and the LA areas and all the major states that have been impacted mostly by COVID, that they will probably be a little bit further behind that July 10th opening. But the fact that we have a date on paper for now the second largest theater chain is great. And AMC is the largest. They've started to reopen theaters in Europe. That's eventually going to come back to the United States. Cinemark, the third largest, obviously has already said that they're going to start to reopen in the United States around June 22nd, June 24th. And it'll have a systematic opening across the country. So if you live near a Cinemark, your theater should be opening within the next, few weeks, or at least some theaters are going to be opening within the next few weeks. And by the end of July, all Cinemarks plan to be reopened. Now, of course, Regal being added to that discussion, them, of course, having the next most theaters to AMC is very exciting because it just means more options. It means whatever films are actually going to get released, whether it's Unhinged. Oh, Lord, Unhinged. That's a movie that now I have to see because I keep trolling it and I keep making fun of it. I have to see that film opening night now. I have to. For those that are not aware, it's the next film starring Russell Crowe where he plays a guy with road rage, but it's when road rage goes wrong. So if that's a film that you want to see, boom, there it is. And as Captain Heist has said, yes, indeed, Jeremy, has been declared excommunicado. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well in the chat. Let me go ahead and catch up with my YouTube peeps. Lord knows we'll probably have a small community tonight. We have 24 people watching. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate that, bud. Putting yourself in a situation that you yourself caused by your own hand. I feel no sympathy for you. Patui, I spit at you. Orange at Reviews got here early. What's going on, man? Zoom 1975. G Monkey 76 is here as well. Hypernext 13 is in the chat. Tina B in the chat. What's going on, Tina B? Thanks for letting them know how to contact me. I appreciate that very, very much. Glowing the Hobbit says, Odin's pizza didn't get cold. No, my pizza was hot, hot, hot. And by the way, speaking of Twitter, I have to give a shout out, and I want to make sure I get his Twitter handle right. Because Piri Chan, if you've been following Friday Night Tights for a long time now, you know him, you love him. But Piri Chan is just fantastic, and his handle is at Hey Songbird. So if you are not following this dude on Twitter, you gotta. I mean, this dude is a freaking legend. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna post that oath onto the DLive fam. Post that to DLive, and I'm also gonna post that here in YouTube as well. Again, at Hey Songbird. This dude is a legend. He has made a video, which I don't have downloaded yet, but I will try and get it by the time the next show goes live. And it's a montage of me eating my pizza on last week's Friday Night Tights, set to amazing music, connected to, of course, the Spider-Man Pizza Time meme, and I love it. It's fantastic. So shout out to you, good sir. You are a freaking legend, man. But yes, Pizza Time indeed. And with everything going on Twitter, I don't know if anyone saw this, but someone tried to cancel Domino's because Domino's responded back in 2012. Back in 2012 was when the original comment was sent about Domino's. And it's from the person that is currently not the marketing secretary, but anyway, the person that goes and speaks on behalf of the president. That's who this person is now. So this was sent back in 2012 when this woman was still in college. This woman was just a regular everyday person in college, shouting out Domino's, and Domino's thanked them for doing it. So then all of a sudden they dredge up this tweet and they try to cancel Domino's. And Domino's says, "Dear Lord, only in 2020 could you be canceled for thanking a customer back in 2012. And I'm like, boom, Domino's. That is how you handle it. And I've been seeing them liking and retweeting a bunch of awesome stuff. Like, there's so much support going towards Domino's right now. And all I can say is that couldn't have it tonight because we already had dinner planned. But I'm very, very, very tempted on Friday night before Friday Night Tights to go pick up some more pizza to continue Pizza Time for another week, and for it to be specifically Domino's pizza, because Lord knows after any company decides to say shove it to these woke police and these woke mob that's on Twitter, anyone that shoves it in their face, even if they're not being political with it, which they weren't, they were just being sensible, saying only in 2020 could you possibly get attacked for thanking a customer 8 years ago. Like, that is the clown world that we live in today, where you get attacked for thanking a customer 8 years ago. And the only thing wrong with this customer is that they are now currently the spokesperson on behalf of the presidential administration. That's ridiculous. And I'm glad that they called that crap out. Father Christopher Miller, who is a member on the channel, hail to you, Father. Glad to see you in the chat. Also, Manuel Hernandez, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. I appreciate that. Laura Stories here. What's going on, Laura? She's been having some connection issues because of the DDoS attack that happened the other day. Service across the country has been terrible. I know that T-Mobile got affected by it, and a bunch of other sites and a bunch of other services apparently also were impacted by it as well. Josue Fagia is in the chat. Soul Assassin in the chat. Keck44 is here as well. Baxter, who's a member on the channel. What's going on, Baxter? Says, hey, everyone. Hope y'all are having a good evening. I'm having a fantastic evening. Had some more turkey tacos today. So good. So delicious. And also some new and fresh baked cookies that I made for my wife to make her feel better. Happy wife is indeed a happy life. Keck44 says, Odin Gate in response to Pizzagate. Yes, that is the new thing. Alex McCarthy, who's also a member of the channel. What's going on, Alex McCarthy? Says, howdy, Odin. How's it going? Not staying tonight. Wife been in the hospital since Friday. Came home yesterday. She had a mini heart attack. She's okay, but taking care of her. Well, Alex McCarthy, dude, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's crazy. I'm glad that it was Minnie, and I'm glad that she's okay. Please keep us updated. Our thoughts and prayers, of course, are going to be with her. Yeah, get off this stream right now if you're still on, man. Go take care of your wife, because that is very important, man. So I'm very sorry to hear that indeed. And we are praying for you, all right? We're praying for you, and we're praying for your wife. But I will say this much, Alex, to try and keep it light a little bit, obviously. I'm glad to hear that. Hearing that she's okay makes me feel a little bit better. Don't let her watch... don't let her watch Artemis Fowl tonight. It will not help the situation at all. I'm just going to put that out there. But anyway, I hope that she's doing okay, though. Max, what's going on? Max says, one of your favorite movies is It's a Wonderful Life. Have you seen Frank Capra's other works like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington? Did you know they were planning to remake it to star a female? So to answer the question, yes, I've seen a couple other films by Frank Capra. One of them, of course, being Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's a phenomenal film. It is fantastic. Jimmy Stewart at his best, and I think it has really great commentary that even still applies today about the corruption that exists in Washington. And I'm going to say to that last part about them apparently planning to remake it with a female star, what I would say to any modern day remake, regardless of who the star is: stop. Seriously, Hollywood, you have a problem. Stop taking old classic movies and remaking them for quote unquote modern audiences, because all you end up doing is taking a wonderful IP, in this case, like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and destroying it. You don't improve it. You can't improve a classic. It would be like saying, "Oh, we're going to remake Casablanca, but we're going to change we're going to change the location of the event. It's going to be set in Iraq. It's going to be a Muslim family, and it's going to be focused on that. But it's going to have the same themes as Casablanca, and everything else is going to be the same." It's like, no, that's not the point of Casablanca. Casablanca is Casablanca. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. The classics are classic for a reason. Don't touch them. Even if you were going to do a shot-for-shot remake with actors that look the exact same, don't do it. Come up with new ideas. Make the next Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. There's so many stories that you can make about modern politics right now. You can make stories about modern senators, modern House representatives. You could talk more and more about the corruption. You could have a very similar theme to the original film, but don't remake the film. And your main concept is, oh, we're just going to gender swap it. Because it's not going to end well. Anytime that the basic premise of a remake or a reboot has been, oh, we're just going to gender swap it, it hasn't ended well. Great example, Ghostbusters 2016. Why did they make it? Because they wanted to have female Ghostbusters. That's pretty much all they had. And guess what? It sucked. It was terrible. Tina B says, evening all, smash the like button. If you want Odin's attention, type Odin question. Boom, indeed. Please make sure you type Odin question. All one word, Odin question. If you're wondering about how to spell it, it's all down here. And also, of course, if you don't want to wait, because I do fall behind in the YouTube chat, especially, I'm usually about 20 minutes behind in the YouTube chat, though, of course, with Jeremy taking some of my thunder tonight by streaming at the same time, who knows if I'll fall that far behind, but I probably will, because just the nature of who I am as a person. But if you don't want to wait, you can either super chat or donate via Streamlabs donation. It'll pop up immediately for me, and I will get to it much more quickly. So that, of course, is completely up to you, but it does also help to support the channel and keep the lights on and allow me to do things like giveaways and, of course, invest it back into the channel with new equipment. Forever Sci-Fi says, hanging with Odin while celebrating Jeremy being canceled from Twitter. Well, thank you, Forever Sci-Fi, for being here, and thanks again for being a member on the channel. I appreciate it. Thenotos Felicitas. Yes, Jeremy has indeed been canceled, and good riddance. Laura Story says, after reading your Dune review, I think you would appreciate the movie much more if you read the book. I don't think I would, though, Laura, and the reason why is because the story's not the problem. The story is really not the problem, because I think that what a lot of people have responded to with my early review for that film has been, oh, well, the studio got heavily involved. But after having seen Eraserhead, and most film buffs say, oh, this is like iconic Lynch, and it's on the Criterion Collection, and so, oh, this is like peak David Lynch. I'm watching Dune, and I can literally see David Lynch working throughout the movie. Whether it's the really crappy voiceovers, again, very poorly done. Who do you think directed them to speak that way? The director. Or it's the really odd sequences and the really odd visuals that are on screen. That's what David Lynch is notorious for. And I just think that he became famous because he was able to put weird and obscure and, frightening imagery on screen, and people started to equate that with good filmmaking. And that's just not the standard that I stand by. I don't think that makes someone a good filmmaker. But again, that's just me. But I have gotten the audiobook for Dune. I was holding back on getting it because it is apparently done by a cast of characters. And one of the biggest complaints that I've read in the reviews for it is that at the beginning, the characters are very distinct and unique. But then as the book goes on, apparently it starts to be done by different people and it starts to get changed up or something. I don't know exactly how true that is. Most of the reviews are positive, but there were some that were going after the voices. And that's something that I need to have good in any audiobook, is the voices have to be great. So I do have the audiobook now, and I do plan to listen to it at some point. I'm going to try to do it and finish it before the Denis Villeneuve version of Dune comes out, because if anyone can do it well, it's Denis Villeneuve. Because he is going to take the concept, he's going to take the source material, and then he's just going to add his cinematic magic to it. And I think that I love the visions of everything he's done so far. I love how he's built these various worlds with all these different projects. And so, as I've said, until he makes a bad movie, I will stand by him and I will trust in the work that he's going to put forward. But also, that reminds me, I need to give a shout out to, first name is Tom. I don't want to say your last name on air because I don't know if you want that information put out there. But he saw and listened to my review of Artemis Fowl. And he is a fan of the book series that the movie was based off of. Very poorly from everything. It's so amazing. Like, that review has blown up. Like, the views on the channel lately, especially since COVID started, have just been abysmal. But, it is what it is. It's fine. It's never been about the number. It's been about, again, the quality of people that are here and are supporting the channel. But it's interesting because that video has like 4,000 views on it, which is like 3,500 views more than like the most recent, like the most successful video I've had in the last couple of weeks. And the common theme that I'm seeing in the comment section on that video are people either thanking me for talking and just destroying the film, or trying to explain, saying, please don't let this movie destroy any perceptions you might have about the book, because they're just in love with the series. They're in love with it, and they're so pissed that Disney took a project that they hold so dearly and essentially destroyed it. They're pissed about it, and I can understand that, right? I know what it's like to be a fan of an IP, to be a fan of a property, and then to see a studio just completely destroy it. Looking at you, sequel trilogy of Star Wars. But one of the persons that was obviously offended by this movie being released and must have appreciated the review, or at the very least was concerned that my view of the book series would be impacted by the film, decided to gift me the Kindle version of the book. So that is something that I plan to read as well. And possibly at some point, whenever I finish it, maybe doing a review of the book or doing a comparison and, hopefully being able to see what these other people are seeing, the ones that are so passionate about their love for the book. Because as we all know, a lot of times the book is indeed not just better, but significantly better. Let's see. Forever Sci-Fi's talking to Tina. Tina says, Blue Velvet's not bad once you get past the close-up shot of the human ear swarming with flies and laying in a field. Yeah, something just tells me, though, based on what I've gotten so far, I probably wouldn't like anything he's ever done. Glowing Hobbit says, Straight Story by David Lynch was terrible. Mirror Jeremy says, Good evening to you, good sir. HyperNex13 says, let's see if Villeneuve can top Lynch. Dune isn't very easy to adapt. Need the Peter Jackson treatment like Lord of the Rings. And you know what? That's what I keep on hearing. I keep on hearing people say, yeah, well, Dune's a very difficult concept and a difficult book to adapt. But I just think those are people that are fans of Lynch's making excuses for Lynch. Or when they say, oh, the studio got involved. And again, I think that's just more and more of people that are fans of David Lynch's work making exceptions for him, making excuses for him. And again, I understand and know that there are times when studio involvement can destroy a movie. But it kind of reminds me a little bit of fans of Zack Snyder. And again, I'm not trying to start a battle or start a war here. But it reminds me a lot of it where they say, oh, the only reason why Justice League was bad is because the studio got involved and because of Joss Whedon's involvement. And the only reason why the original BVS was bad was because the studio got in and cut it. And then the extended edition, it fixed everything. But it's still not true. The movie still has a lot of issues, and it doesn't fix the fact that it's still a Zack Snyder film. In the same way, that's how I feel about David Lynch films. It doesn't matter if anyone played around with it, it's still a David Lynch film. And again, the reason why I feel like I can say that now is because I can go to, in both cases, movies that they had complete control over and show very clearly their styles and show very clearly their mindsets, and I've hated it. So once again, I just think that's an excuse. But I agree. Dune does seem to be a very complex story. It does seem to be a very large world being built, right? So many books were written in the series. And obviously it seems like Peter Jackson's treatment of the original Lord of the Rings, not The Hobbit, I guess that would be a good example, right? Is to say, I feel like you could argue that what happened recently with Artemis Fowl and what's happened previously with other books adaptations is they got more of the Hobbit treatment rather than the Lord of the Rings treatment, right? Lord of the Rings was epic and sweeping, and yes, it didn't do everything that was in the books, but it paid respect. You know, it didn't change things for the sake of, you know, any agendas, or it didn't change things for the sake of not being able to accomplish them. It kept things the way that they kept as much as they possibly could to tell in the stories that they told, which is why Lord of the Rings is still considered one of the greatest movie franchises of all time, and why so many fans of the book are also fans of the movie as well. So, yeah. All right, here. But I do think Villeneuve, by the way, HyperNext13, I do think Villeneuve will top Lynch. Because based on the body of work alone, Villeneuve is a much better director than David Lynch, and I stand by that. Again, I've hated both movies from David Lynch that I've watched, and I've loved almost every single Denis Villeneuve film. The only film that I don't absolutely love is a film called Enemy, but that's because it's almost, you could argue, a David Lynch-esque style film where it's style over substance. But even that movie has a lot more going for it because I think the acting in that film is fantastic. Anyway, Father Christopher Miller, what's going on, says, good luck figuring out Dune. I finished the audiobook and I still have no clue what happened. Oh, damn. All right, well, hopefully that's not the same audiobook I have, but something tells me that it is. Mirror Jeremy says, you have canceled Jeremy. Damn right. Damn right he's canceled. Larry, of course, he has been canceled indeed. Father Christopher Miller says, this is the G-rated stream, unlike Jeremy's. Yeah, Jeremy's streams are never G-rated. They're never even PG-13 rated. They are always R-rated. Joby's Run, what's going on? Glad to see you in here. Captain Dean Heiss is here. What's going on? Oh, Member Dean Heiss, rather. Sorry, Member Dean Heiss on YouTube. Greetings, YouTube chat. Dean Heiss, crossing the streams, jumping from D-Live to say hello. Jacob Juice, dude. Jacob Juice in the chat says, hello, Odin, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Jacob Juice is one of my newest Patreon members. Dude, I tried contacting you on Discord. I think you joined the Discord server. Check Discord. Check your direct messages, because I need to get you into the giveaways channel over there, man. That way you can get access to it, because I do, indeed, for my $5 and up backers on Patreon Subscribe Star, do giveaways, and I will ship internationally. I will ship internationally if you happen to win. It might be more complicated because we want to make sure if it's a Blu-ray that you win, that you get the one that will actually work in your region, but I'm willing to work with it. Ask my friends from Australia. They have gotten films and stuff sent to them. So, Jacob Juice, glad to see you in the chat, man. All right. Happy Dinosaur 8000 is in the chat as well. What's going on? Happy Dinosaur. Hope you are doing very, very well. All right. Chat has jumped on me like I thought that it would. But hope everyone is doing okay. Let's see. Let's make sure no comments were skipped. None were skipped. Orange Eye Review says, you streamed while another streamed. Jeremy, you leave me no choice but to declare you excommunicado. No. I have a scheduled stream every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Every single time. There's been very few occasions where I've had to either move the time, or in most cases, I wouldn't even move it. I would just cancel it outright. This is inexcusable because Jeremy just decides, hey, I can, Jeremy's mindset is I can just stream whenever I want and I'll have 2,000 people watching me. Where I'm like, well, I have a scheduled time because I want to make sure that the people that will watch my streams know exactly when I will stream, because if YouTube ghosts me or anything like that, I have no idea. So it's not fair. It's not fair at all. But anyway, let's see. We have 32 people watching. So for the 32 people watching, thank you so much for the love and support. I really do appreciate it. You are awesome. All right, let me go ahead and jump over to D-Live real quick. Captain K-Man says, eating Domino's pizza right now, just got delivered. Captain K-Man, you are a legend, and I plan to show my support to them as well. I don't know exactly what that is, but something tells me it's not good. So Ali, you're gone, man. Bye-bye. I do not put up with the nonsense over there on the D Live. I don't put up with it. Happy Dinosaur 8000 is over on D Live as well. What is going on? He says this: David Lynch is good with visuals, but with everything else, in my opinion, he sucks. I think that's a good statement, because there are definitely a lot of great visual effects that he's able to do, right? Especially when you look to practical effects, most of them are pretty cool. Like Eraserhead has a lot of really well done visual effects, but the story around it's terrible, right? And just everything else around it is just so, again, style over substance. I would argue that I don't think Dune has very impressive effects, because when you look at the fact that that film came out in, 1984, and you had literally 3 Star Wars movies that came out prior to it, I feel like the effects in Star Wars are much more groundbreaking and still, in my opinion, very much still hold together in 2020 than Dune's effects do. And I think that kind of speaks to the level of effects that we got in the film. Now, I don't know what the budget was. I'm assuming it was pretty large, though. In fact, let me go ahead and try and look that up. Dune 1984 budget. So let's see. It says $45 million, but that's, of course, in 1984 money. So let's go ahead and let's put in inflation. Inflation calculator. It's always a beautiful thing to get the inflation calculator. But anyway, so let's take 45, and that was going to be in 1984. So that would be roughly $110 million today. So it would be the equivalent of $110 million. So one could argue that's not a very high budget. Okay, so I'm actually willing to, in this circumstance. But then I say that, and yet it might not be a high budget or as high of a budget in today's dollars, but back then $100 million equivalent would have been a huge number. So actually, no, I take that back. They had all the money in the world, and I don't think they got the money, or I don't think they got the effects for the money that they spent on it. That's my final say on that one. Prove me wrong, or hashtag change my mind. Captain Adam, what's going on, man? Outback Zach says, are you broadcasting from, oops, Odin's occupied protest space? Screw that, man. No. None of that crap's welcome here. Captain Dean High says, I enjoyed Lynch's Mulholland Drive. Again, that's another film that always gets mentioned. But after the fact, I saw Eraserhead, and that was also another one that always got mentioned, and it was terrible. I don't have high hopes for that one. That's just my initial thought. Outback Zach says, the first Hobbit film was great, amazing, neat. Should have been one movie, though. The first one was not. When you go back to it, obviously you feel that sense of nostalgia, especially in the very beginning when you're back in the Shire. And I think that Martin Freeman was, again, great casting, because I love Martin Freeman. I think that he does great work. But when you look back at it and you can't take it in isolation, you have to put it into the context of the rest of the movies. Compared to Lord of the Rings, it's night and day. I would have to say that. The first Hobbit film is leaps and bounds better than the other two, but I don't know exactly how much that says. Cam Dean High says, Jeremy's just so proud of getting banned, he had to tell people about it. But again, why is anyone surprised? Like, I'm not surprised that he got banned. Again, this dude got so many DCMA notifications because of copyrighted material. It's like, what did you expect was going to happen? Does that mean that I think it's a good thing? Does that mean that I'm defending Naughty Dog? Hell no. But I mean, come on. There comes a point. Let's see. Captain Adam in the clan says, working on John Deere as I listen. Nice. Alrighty. Rhaegar Targaryen, what's going on, dude? He says, what was it about Dune that you didn't like? I'm just curious to see if you have the same reasons I do. I'm not fond of Dune either. The most annoying thing, I guess I'll talk about it in my full review, but the most annoying thing about 1984 Dune are the voiceovers. I think they're terribly done. And it kind of reminds me a little bit, actually, of Blade Runner. You know how in the theatrical cut of the film, you had all of the voiceovers and it destroyed the film because it just told you way too much and it left very little to the imagination and it was distracting? That is what Dune's voiceovers are. But something tells me that in the book, there's a lot more description. I'm guessing this, that there's a lot more description about telepathy and the ability to read minds and internal thought and internal monologue. But the reason why I think that the inner monologue in the movie sucks is because of the way they were directed. Like, literally, it's like, Atarax, Dune Planet. It's red. It's full of sand. Atarax, Dune. Like, that's what every single freaking voice in the film sounds like. Like, just dead inside, no emotion, and it's just so boring. And then they have a bunch of random images being put on screen. Again, I think Lynch is vastly overrated. I'm just saying. I would say nay. I would say nay to David Lynch films. That's what I would say. Mike Martinez, I can't wait for theaters to reopen on July 10th. Yes, there will be strict guidelines once they open up, but it'll be nice to be back, says Mikey Martinez. Yeah, well, that is when the Regal cinemas are reopening. You might see some Cinemark films reopen prior to that time, and also AMC theaters will probably be opening around the same time as well. So July 10th is not a hard date, but that is when the Regal cinemas plan to start reopening here in the States. So at least we have a date, though. At least we have a time frame for us to look forward to, and hopefully it happens, and hopefully it goes off without a hitch, and hopefully we don't have to worry about things getting locked down. I imagine that if there is another spike, which, again, who knows if there's going to be a spike or not, I would say it's likely that it'll happen. I don't think businesses are going to respond in the same way, and I don't think people are going to allow for businesses or for the government to respond in the same way, where it's like, okay, I'm not going on lockdown again. Let's figure it out. Like if I have to wear a mask in public or whatever, okay. If that means I can leave my house and go to the theater and do all the things that I want to do, fine, right? You're not going to be able to tell people, oh, you got to stay at home, or, oh, you got to shut down your business. It's not going to work this time, all right? Trust me, it's not going to work. Slicer Neon says, I survived Artemis Fowl. Slicer, why would you do that to yourself, man? He says, still think Unicorn Store is worse. Cass is going to have a rough time for this. I think the rumors of Dame Dench's agent hating her are true. Yeah, definitely seems that way based on the recent casting decisions that have been made, or rather the roles that she's chosen. Yeah, Unicorn Store is not good. Don't get me wrong. When I say I think Artemis Fowl is worse, that does not mean that Unicorn Store is good. What it means is that if Artemis Fowl is complete crap, like just poo, Unicorn Store is like the hair that's in it. So it doesn't make it that much better. It's not poo, but it's not great either. You're welcome for that visual, by the way. That was the cleanest visual that I could possibly think of. Maybe I should have, you know what, Tina? I should have brought up chitlins. That's what I should have brought up. I should have made that comparison instead. If you can come up with another one featuring that, I would appreciate it. Anyway, HyperX13 says, Russell Crowe is road raging because nobody is entertained by road rage. Are you not entertained? Isn't that why you are here? Are you not entertained? No, not by road rage. Slice Neon says, you have to watch the Foul pitch meeting. Nailed it. Yeah, someone sent it to me. I've not watched it yet, but pitch meetings are always pretty damn good. Thanatos Felicitas says, the Quartering has just dropped a video on Jeremy getting canceled on Twitter. Of course they have. Of course they did. Father Chris Miller says, if you're going to declare Jeremy excommunicado, where's your candle so you can turn it upside down a la the movie Beckett? I haven't seen Beckett yet, Father. But that sounds amazing. And I think I should start to, other than playing the video, maybe we should have some other symbolic gesture. That could be fun. Forever Sci-Fi, who's a member, says, any mayor giving Antifa a free pass should be arrested for supporting terrorists. Those are his words, not mine. I definitely think they should be voted out of office. That's where I would stand on that point. Sasha Neon says, White House press secretary, they hate this gal for not putting up with the mainstream media fake news nonsense. I want Domino's now to anything is better than NYC these days. Yeah, and I think that is something that obviously is going to be up to your opinion, depending on your own political affiliation. But I think that we can all admit that seeing that this tweet and the whole thing was back in 2012 when this person was in college, and that's what's being complained about. Like, it would already be ridiculous. Like, if any company responded to a politician or responded to someone that works for a politician and people freaked out about it, that would be stupid of them to react that way. But it's even worse when you're reacting to something that happened 8 years ago when the person in question was a college student and a company is thanking the college student. Like that, like seriously, you realize how low the modern day discourse has become? It's very clear when you look at the whole nonsense going on with that. But again, hallelujah to Domino's. Seriously. Let's see here. Max says, you don't believe in Pizzagate, do you? Obviously, there's terrible people in Hollywood, but here's the thing. I've never really dug too deeply into Pizzagate. I know it has to do something with Jeffrey Epstein, but that's all I know. Like, I'm just going to be honest there. I really don't really know. I'm assuming it has something to, like, again, I don't know why it's called Pizzagate. I guess that's the main thing. I know that it has something to do with Epstein, which means it has something to do with a lot of the really dirty, disgusting things that Epstein was doing and a lot of his pals in Hollywood were doing. That's pretty much all I know about it. Slice Neon says, so Last of Ma'am has gangs fighting for control of Seattle, art imitating real life now, truth stranger than fiction, though I have not heard of any golf attacks in the Chad yet. So they're, I guess, talking about Last of Us leaks, which I have not personally really been following all that much. Thanatos Felicitas says, Barbed Wire starring Pamela Anderson was a remake of Casablanca, and it was horrible. Is that true? Was it really a remake, or was it not? By the way, hope you enjoy the little Mary Did You Know image of Willow. I think it's adorable. I think it's cute. But anyway, Riff Magos sent a donation via Streamlabs, so thank you very much, Riff Magos, for sending that. Thank you so much. He says, Hail Odin, thank you for always being the humble voice of reason. Cue Irish voice, you're a legend, lad. Oh, well, thank you very much, Riff Magos. I appreciate it very much. And for anyone that's in Ireland that's offended by this voice, I'm very, very sorry. But Riff Magos, man, thank you so much for all your support on the channel, and thank you for that very generous donation. I appreciate it, man. But getting back to Thanatos Felicitas, Barbed Wire, is that really a remake of Casablanca? Or is it a film that, if you look at it and you think about it, you realize, hey, this has a lot to do with and a lot of similarities with the film Casablanca, but it's not actually. Tina B says, I look forward to going to Seattle next year for a nice pre-cruise before Alaska. Now I'm going to be in and out pretty much, not supporting the fake nation of Chaz. Yeah, I wouldn't want to travel there at all. Like, if you're going there just because you need to get to the boat, I would be like, all right, I'm getting there so that I can go straight to the boat because I don't want to spend any time in that city. That's what I personally would be doing. But Lord knows that you want to make sure, Tina, to stay safe. So no matter what you decide to do, please stay safe because these people are crazy, the ones that are setting up the Chazes and everything like that. Hypernex13 says, what's your favorite movie logo? One that comes off the top of your head and is iconic to you personally. What do you mean by logo? Do you mean like the movie poster? If you mean movie poster, Back to the Future is always one that catches my eye. I just think it's very well designed, and I love how each of these subsequent films just takes the same template but adds to it. So in the first film, it's just Marty. In the second film, right, you get the added where it's Marty and the Doc, and then by the third film, you got Marty, Doc, and then Clara. Like you have all, again, this is really fun to see, and of course the clothes change too. So I would say those would be the iconic ones. As you all know, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan, so those would be the ones that come into the top of my head, if that's what you meant. Tina B says, stop giving Hollywood ideas, or sorry, stop giving Holly weird ideas. Slicer told me to tell you that. Well, again, I'm sorry. Go into Hobbit. Drunk 3PO is participating on hashtag cancel Jeremy livestream. Excommunicado. Dude, Drunk 3PO, he's doing that because he has a stream starting in about 22 minutes. I don't blame Drunk 3PO, all right? Drunk 3PO just hit 10,000 subscribers. So, hail Drunk 3PO. Congratulations to you, good sir. This is still Jeremy's problem, all right? Jeremy's just saying, oh, I can go live whenever the hell I want. By the way, if you were not here earlier, because Jeremy decided to stream right before I started to start streaming, this is what happened to him.
You leave me no choice but to declare you excommunicado.
Yes, that's right. Jeremy has indeed been declared excommunicado from the channel. He has to make it up to me at some point. Forever Sci-Fi says, I'm sure someone has proposed a gender swap of Jesus at this point. Son of God, that's problematic. Oh, just you wait. And you know what the Christians are going to do? Not see it. Maybe do a personal boycott. You know what they're not going to do? Rage in the streets, destroy public property, destroy theaters. Christians aren't going to do that. They'll be upset. They'll probably be offended too, but they're not going to cause any chaos about it. just putting it out there. All I can say is this much. If you were to take other religions in the world and you were to take their main religious leader and you were to gender swap them or change them in any way, much worse would be done. Sorry, not sorry. Mirror Jeremy, careful, Hollywood doesn't like the idea of new original ideas. Be careful, the mouse might take you out excommunicado style. Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. Max says, I hope they don't put an intro in front of Gone with the Wind. If they do, it better be a separate part of the movie and not inserted in front of the movie as a part of the official timecode. It is. So, Max, it is. Based on what has been revealed to us and based on how this is how HBO Max currently works. If you watch any movie on there or any TV series, there's always a trailer for something else on HBO before it. So what they're doing is they're just using that same concept that's already in place, only now they're going to put a trigger warning, and then they're going to put this little film by a professor to explain the historical context of it. So all I can say is this. One, go ahead and buy yourself your own copy of Gone with the Wind if you can, because it's been sold out on so many platforms right now. If it is sold out, go to eBay, go to a pawn shop, and go pick one up, because then you own it. They can't change it. They can't add anything to it because you have it. And if you do decide to watch Gone with the Wind on HBO Max for any reason, skip it. Luckily, there's a beautiful thing called fast forward. Now, what would be really bad and something that would piss me off is if HBO Max had it where it was hard-coded in to the point where you weren't allowed to skip it. And they're like saying, oh no, you are forced to watch. If you want to watch this movie, you are forced to. I don't think they are. I don't think they can get away with that technologically speaking. But then again, I wouldn't put it past them. It would not surprise me in the very least. What about? What's going on? I see you in the chat. Says Hail Odin. Thank you so much for being here. Tina B. I've only really loved the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks back in the late 80s, and Lynch single-handedly destroyed all the fan goodwill by doing a season 3 a few years ago. Yeah, I never saw the original. So did Lynch do the original series in the 80s, or was it Lynch taking over the project a few years ago and destroying it? Either way, it would make a lot of sense to me. Jacob Juice, thanks for tagging me, man. He says, hi, Odin, I just saw Da 5 Bloods, and I liked the film quite much. But the Trump hat you see all the time in the film, did that have a certain meaning? Thanks, by the way, for the great live stream. Well, Jacob Juice, thanks for being here, man. And I'm glad you liked it. And I think there's a lot of things in the film to like. And I hope that you got that if you watched my review of the film. That there's some, like, again, Spike Lee is a talented guy. I'm not denying that. My problem with Spike Lee's movies, especially his last 2, is that he has an obvious obsession with Donald Trump. Right? He tied in at the very end of BlacKkKlansman random footage of Trump rallies and tried to tie it in with white supremacy and try to tie it in with the KKK. And it just, again, bonkers stuff. And now in Da 5 Bloods, throughout the entire movie, you have one character that's a Trump supporter and he's literally insane. So I think what it's symbolic of is this. Spike Lee's trying to point out that anyone that supports Donald Trump, whether they're, no matter what ethnic background they're from, that there's something wrong with them. So in the case of the character in the movie, he's obviously suffering from PTSD, but then they also make him just a terrible person, right? It's one of those things where you would think, oh, we should empathize with this person. Oh, we should understand why they are the way they are and everything to that effect. But all that he does is basically try to demonize and vilify him because he happens to be a Trump supporter. And that's why I have a problem with the film. And again, it's not because I'm a Trump fan. As I make very clear on the channel, I didn't vote for him in 2016. I don't plan to vote for him in 2020, though with all of this TDS currently going on in our society, I'm being pushed more and more in that direction because it's like, dude, seriously, Spike Lee, get off your high horse, stop the race baiting, and please stop the politicization in your movies. And then some dude decided to go after me in the comments section and decided to troll for a response. And then their big claim to fame was, well, you didn't say the same thing about Unplanned when it dealt with abortion. It's like, very, very different situation there. We're talking about the clear destruction of human life. And I think it's a good thing that we have a movie that finally calls that crap out versus someone that has TDS. And another person in the comment section on that review, by the way, tried to argue with me that it's not a real illness. And I'm like, it might not be something that is, prescribed. I will give you that, but it's definitely real. It definitely exists. And then just goes back and forth trying to tell me that, no, post-traumatic stress disorder, that's real. TDS is not. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting it, man. You're not getting it. But anyway, hopefully that made some sense, Jacob Juice. So thank you so much. And I think I saw that you contacted me on Discord, so I will get to that after the stream. Thank you so much for being here, man. Appreciate it. Hardwick says, I can guarantee that a current day remake of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington would have a heroic liberal protagonist standing up to an evil right-wing political establishment, because that's modern Hollywood. The beautiful thing about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is that it was essentially apolitical. It wasn't Republican versus Democrat or Democrat versus Republican. It was like, here's what politicians are like. And here's someone, again, Mr. Smith, who is just out of the loop, completely innocent, untainted by the corruption, and now he's being thrown into this corruption pool. And the speech that he gives at the end where he's like, this is why we're supposed to be here, is brilliant. And it still holds to this day. Anything that they were to make today that's a remake or reboot where they're trying again to modernize it would never hold. That's why the filmmaking that we have today is so much less than what it once was, by the very fact that I can't think of a whole lot. Again, obviously there's examples. I would put Nightcrawler in there, Whiplash in there, The Dark Knight in there. There's obviously modern films that I think will hold up for years to come. But there's also just so many other movies that try and just epically fail in so many different ways. Soul Assassin says, have you seen the miniseries of Dune from Sci-Fi? It might be more enjoyable for you. I saw that they had made one. So once I think I have like 20 minutes left in the film, but it has had the same exact tone and the same exact problems the entire movie. So that's why I put the review out there already, because it's like, I don't see that changing. 3/4 of the movie is the same way. Doubt that the last quarter is going to be any different. Especially after I've already seen his film and it's the same thing. But once that's done, then I might go ahead and check that out. Hopefully it's better. Father Christopher Miller says, I had the Dune audiobook with the cast of characters and hated it. Oh, Father, really? Do I need to get... I had a credit because I have the Audible subscription. Do I need to exchange that for something else? Larry says, should I chat with 41 or 2,000? Quality over quantity. That's what I'll say there. Soul Assassin says, Artemis Fowl seemed like a cheap attempt at starting another franchise for Disney. Someone made a good point in the comment section on that video, too. They said, Disney keeps trying to create their own version of Harry Potter and always fail. And there's always references in the comment section to Percy Jackson, right, and the Lightning Thief, and how that just, again, that took the concept from the novels, which apparently were very much well-loved, and destroyed them with the movie. I will put it this way, though. I think that Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief, is at the very least a competent movie. It may not be a great film, and it might be an atrocity in comparison to the books, but at least I could go back and watch that movie. I would never, ever want to watch Artemis Fowl ever again. Let's see. Glonald Dover says, I missed you, Odin. Sorry I've missed your streams for months. Recovered from COVID myself. I catch your uploads and Friday Night Tights appearances. Keep doing what you're doing. Well, Glonald Dover, glad to see you back in the chat, man. Hopefully you are all healed up and feeling well. Max says, out of all the good movies based on books, the movie is almost always better. I just prefer the medium. Max, I think that last point is the key to all of it, right? I almost always prefer movies because I prefer the medium, just like you said. I prefer movies to books. I have ADD, so it's very hard for me to sit down for hours and hours and hours focusing on text on a page. It's much easier for me to sit for 90 minutes to 2 hours, 2.5 hours even, watching something and taking in the characters and connecting everything at the same time, right? That's just a better medium for my specific mindset. That being said, there are definite clear-cut cases, though, where books are better than movies. And I would say that, based on what the reactions have been, it seems like Artemis Fowl is a part of that situation, since I can confirm the movie's trash. But as far as occasions where I have read a book before a series or before a movie has come out, there was a book written called Pillars of the Earth. Great book. Phenomenal book. And then it was turned into a mini-series. And that was one of the only times in my life that I ever read a book prior to a visual, the visual medium being put out there. And I can say that the series just does not do the book justice at all. So it was in that moment I realized, okay, there are indeed occasions when the books are significantly better than the films. But I totally understand where you're coming from, man. Scipio says, the governor of California has said that cinemas can open with max capacity of 25%. Or 100 people per screen, whichever one is lower. Does that make economic sense to you? It doesn't for me. No, it doesn't for me at all. However, we have had the CEO, I believe, or at the very least one of the executives of Cinemark, say they can run their theaters at 20 to 30% capacity and still make profit, is what they said. However, that's assuming they are allowed to sell soft drinks and popcorn. And also, don't forget, that assumes they get to 100% of that 20 to 30% capacity. The problem with these percentages that are throwing out is they're like, oh, you're capped at 50% capacity. But there's going to be so many theaters, depending on where they are in the country, that are going to struggle to even get that, right? They're going to struggle to even get 50% of 50% capacity, because of obviously a lot of fear and misunderstanding and, theaters themselves kind of running out of style with people getting used to online media and with, of course, the streaming wars happening now. So I'm right there with you. It never made sense to me until one of the executives of a major theater chain, again, this is from Cinemark, I believe Deadline covered this, so go ahead and look it up for yourself if you want, and basically said they can run. So again, that's just Cinemark, can run at 20 to 30% capacity and still make profit. But also, he didn't specify whether he meant 20 to 30% capacity, including all their theaters together, or per theater, right? And again, it's assuming they actually get 100% of that 20 to 30%. But yeah, basically it assumes also that they're buying popcorn and drinks, which if they can't sell, they're losing crap tons of money at that point because they make nothing off of ticket sales. Thanatos Felicitas says, Dune is philosophy, economics, sociology, and geology wrapped into a great novel. Hard to croak? Hard to croak? What? I don't know what you were trying to say there. But I imagine that you're trying to say, like, it's hard to put onto film. And I can definitely see and understand that. But again, I think that when you have the right filmmaker, they can at the very least make a competent movie that, see, to me, whenever a movie is adapted, it should make me want to read the novel. And that's why I think Lord of the Rings was so great, because was it a perfect one-to-one adaptation? No. Did it leave a lot of things out? Yes. But did it give you enough of the story and remain true to the original spirit of the story enough to not only make you understand it, but also make you even want more? Yes. Imagine how many people were thrown to the books after the Lord of the Rings trilogy came out. I imagine quite a number of people found and discovered the books because of the movies. When you look at things like Artemis Fowl that are just such bad concepts on their own as a movie that I think dissuade people from reading the book, that obviously is the other side of the coin. I would argue that the movie Dune from 1984 is one of those negative qualities. Like, I think that I would argue most moviegoers, right? So obviously that's not everyone, but I would argue that most moviegoers, if they saw the 1984 film, even back in 1984, likely didn't say, oh, I have to read this book now. They were probably like, what the hell am I watching? What is this weird crap going on screen? Oh, I can only imagine what the book is like. You see what I mean? Hopefully that made sense. Baxter, who's a member, says, Odin, I completely agree with you. There are thousands of stories written out there by extremely talented people just waiting to be told that have potential to be future classics. Wake up Hollywood. Yeah, seriously, like, even if you have to. I was talking specifically about making original films, but you make a good point too. There's a lot of great books and novels out there that could make excellent films if they have the right creator behind it, who will respect the source material. And that's, I think, what's lacking in Hollywood, is not just creativity, but also executives that are willing to tell a story and respect the source material of what they're working with. Because you're right, there are a lot of stories that could be adapted out there. And again, I don't know all of them because I'm not a reader, right? I'm someone that watches movies and television. So those are the two mediums that I am most fond of. So I'm sure that there's plenty of people. I would argue Tina probably has a plethora of content that she thinks could probably make good movies. But guess what? I guarantee you that she does not want Hollywood in its current state to touch those stories, because Lord knows that they'll take it and destroy it. Because that's just the modern state of Hollywood. It's let us take something that people love, turn it into something completely different, and then make it so that no one loves it. And it's such a bad way. It's a terrible business model. Larry says, Tina always sees me, and I really appreciate that. Tina's amazing. Seriously, Tina is phenomenal, and I love her. Let's see. Laura Story says, looks like the internet is working now. Well, glad to see you here, Laura. Hopefully everything is coming through okay. Rookie Pilot says, I found Dune dragging and a bit boring. I never understood the hype. I also plan to watch Artemis Fowl out of curiosity, and it's free. Pray for me. Dude, trust me, man. You don't want to watch it. Obviously, it's your decision. It's your choice. It's your free will. But I told you so. I warned you. But yes, I agree. Dune, dragging, boring, and as I said, I just don't think it's that well put together either. I think the voice-over work alone destroys the film. Both the direction of it and its, practice. Max says, watch the BTS for The Hobbit, behind the scenes for The Hobbit, and you'll know exactly why those movies suck in comparison to Lord of the Rings. Jackson literally admitted to the studio not giving him enough time to storyboard. Yeah, and again, I can understand that, Max. However, he also made the book into 3 movies. And he decided to add in a lot of stuff that was not in the books, but then leave out a lot of stuff that was in the books. So I think he might argue, I think it's both of their faults, right? The studio didn't give him enough time to work on the project that he wanted to make. But then Peter Jackson also, I think, decided to go way overboard with filling the story in to make it worth 3 movies instead of just trying to tell a one or two movie maximum story that worked and was a fine representation of the book, right? If you were to watch the movie and then read the book, you'd be like, wait, there's not a lot of, what? This doesn't make any sense. So Max also says he made action scenes up on the spot. I believe that. Based on what we saw, I definitely believe that. But anyway, the chat has jumped on me like it normally does. So let us see here. Were any comments skipped? Looks like some comments may have been skipped. It's 7:35 in the chat where I am. It is 7:56 in real life. So yeah, I'm about almost 20, 30 minutes behind. But let me go ahead and try and catch up with my D-Live fam real quick. All right. Outback Zach says, I'll change your mind on The Hobbit and Avatar someday. No, you won't. It's not going to happen. Will Gentry says, while Unicorn Store is badly cleaned chitlins, Artemis Fowl is totally unclean chitlins. Boom. Will Gentry. Thank you for making the chitlins reference work. I'm sure Tina was working on that too. But yes, Unicorn Store, badly cleaned chitlins. If you don't know what it is, go ahead and look it up. Artemis Fowl, completely uncleaned and stanky chitlins that have been rotting in the sun for 2 weeks. That's how I would describe it. Outback Zach says, never thank your students. What do you mean? Well, Gentry, the rumor is they ran it out of a pizza shop, used it to launder money and stuff. Oh, okay. That makes much more sense. Thank you for that context, Will Gentry. I appreciate that. Will Gentry says, oh, it's real. They call it TAD, Trump anxiety disorder. It's in textbooks now. Is it really? I don't know about that. I haven't done the research, Will, but according to Will Gentry, he says it is apparently in textbooks. Now, I would believe that, and it's probably a variation of PTSD, because imagine if you believe that someone is evil and you buy into that and it causes you so much stress and anxiety that literally every time you see the person on screen or hear his name, it triggers you. And we use that word oftentimes in mocking, but it is an actual real thing where some people are so impacted psychologically by something that a great example of this would be like for conditioning. One of the great examples they had was, and I still don't understand how they got away with this at the time in history they did, but basically someone took, I believe it was their own son, and they put their son into this pin basically with a rabbit. And every time the child wanted to actually touch the rabbit, they would basically put a loud noise. River, really? She's chewing the bone, and Willow is just standing up, minding her own business, and River thinks that she wants it. By the way, this might be a good time to try and get the puppy cam up and running, since I do have it now. So boom, puppy cam, boom, oh, look, there she is. Hi. But anyway, that's what's going on right now. So again, River has the bone. And Willow's just like, I just want to lay down. I just want to lay down on the pillow. And then Willow is, of course, River rather is, of course, not having any of it, just wants to chew her bone in silence. And poor little Willow is just like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. Sorry. Let me see if I can get a, oh yeah, zoom. I forgot I can zoom in. Look at her. She's so pretty. She's so pretty. All right. And then this one, just enjoying her bone. I'm so glad I can do puppy cam now. So anyway, it's amazing that you can now connect your phone via Wi-Fi and get all that stuff up and working. But anyway, getting back to the main point about it. So anyway, so this guy, sorry for the random tangent. I have ADD if you could not tell. But anyway, put his son into a pen, and every time he tried to touch the bunny in the pen, he would play a loud noise and would frighten his child. And basically what he realized was eventually over time, anything white and fluffy would cause a anxiety and fear in the child. And this actually impacted them their entire life. So imagine that you're a college student, your professors are telling you that someone's evil and that the world is going to end and that everything is bad and that your friends are going to get locked up and that all this terrible stuff's going to happen if this one dude gets elected, and then all of a sudden this dude gets elected, right? Basically, it causes this sense of trauma in these persons, and it does leave a psychological impact. So it's funny that this one guy was going after me trying to say, oh, it's not a real thing, PTSD is a real thing, when what I'm talking about is in essence a variation of it, right? It's a psychological component to it, but we call it TDS, right? We call it that because that's essentially what's happened. That's essentially what's going on. So that's interesting, though. I don't know if it's in, I don't know if it's in any textbooks in the States or not, but that'd be interesting if it's there somewhere else. Outback Zach says, do families have to distance in the theater? Outback Zach, according to Regal, so I read through the restrictions for Regal cinemas. When they reopen on July 10th, you will have to social distance based on party. So let's say there's 4 people in your party, you sit together, and then basically they're going to have their system set up where if they have reserved seating, it's probably going to be a little more complicated if they don't have reserved seating. But if they do, and most theaters nowadays do, what will happen is that the system will automatically sense, okay, there's 4 people sitting together here, and then it'll automatically highlight out the 2 seats next to that group on either side. And then the next person that wants to buy a ticket in that row will have to and be forced to buy a ticket that is 2 seats over, essentially. So how they're going to set up their system to do it. So it's going to be forcing social distancing through the ticket buying, but you can indeed sit with your party. So yeah, you're not going to be forced to. I imagine that some theaters that don't have reserved seating will probably end up having to, basically black out various seats, is my guess. Like put tape over seats for people not to sit in. Or even worse, and this could get a whole heap of, this could get really messy. Have someone that's in the theater and is basically saying, okay, here, you can sit here. Oh, you can't sit there. Or, oh, you need to put a seat between that person and the next. Could get very, very complicated. So we'll have to wait and see. But as far as Regal is concerned, and I imagine a lot of the major chains that have any sense of reserved seating, it's going to be automatically done in the system where if you buy seats together, it's going to black out the seats next to you and therefore force no one to sit next to you, which I don't mind. I would not mind if that did not change because I don't like when people sit next to me, especially if I go by myself, which happens a lot because my wife is not nearly as big a fan of movies as I am. Outback Zach says, I suffer from ODS since Odin won't recognize that Avatar, The Hobbit, and Good Burger are classics that stand at the test of time. Dude, oh, no. Oh, no. Don't you throw Good Burger in there. Good Burger is a classic. Good Burger is phenomenal. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger, can't take your order. That's a great film. Don't you dare throw that classic into the same discussion as Avatar. And I wouldn't even throw The Hobbit into the same discussion as Avatar. Patooey, I spit at you, Outback Zach. How dare you? How dare you? Outback Zach, thank you for the 2 ice creams. I appreciate that very much. Cam Adam McLan says, behind on YouTube? No, never. Outback Zach says, are the doggies Boxer Lab mix? So, Willow. So since you asked about the dogs, I'll go ahead and get the puppy cam back up. That way I can explain. All right. So this is Willow. All right. Willow is a German Shepherd mix. We believe she is a German Shepherd Beagle mix. So obviously there's she's a mutt, right? She's definitely a mutt. But the two things that were put onto the papers that we got when we adopted her was that she was a German Shepherd Beagle mix. We can definitely see the German Shepherd in her for sure. Now River, she is definitely a more let me see if I can get the camera back up. There we go. She's a more interesting story. So she was listed originally as an Australian Shepherd mix, but also was mixed with a no, it wasn't a Greyhound. It was, you know what? I'm forgetting what she was mixed with. Anyway, it didn't make any sense. So we have some thoughts about what her mix actually is, and based on her siblings, because we actually had a chance to adopt one of her siblings, but it unfortunately did not work out. And her sibling did not look a lot like her. So what we think happened was that her litter may have had more than one dad. And so she got the Australian Shepherd, and we think there might be some lab in her as well. There's a couple other breeds that my wife thinks she might be, but I think she looks most like an Australian Shepherd. But that, of course, is just me. But anyway, yeah, Australian Shepherd mix, and then here she is, German Shepherd Beagle mix with the longest legs in the world. But I love them. Alrighty. So hopefully you enjoyed that. All right, let's go ahead and see. Let me make sure I'm caught up on D-Lab before jumping back over. Will Gentry says, context, it might not be in actual textbooks yet, but I do know it's a recognized condition now. Spoke to my psych about it one time. Interesting, okay. And again, it wouldn't surprise me because it's basically probably another variation of PTSD. Only it's specifically one that is associated with the election in 2016. I know for a fact that there are people that suffer from anxiety and depression now because of that. And again, it's because when your professors are building this up, and creating anxiety in your life, it's going to impact you. Again, it's a sense of conditioning. And I would argue that it's a case of abuse, but that's just me. Camden High says, can you do a 23andMe for dogs? Yes, you can actually. And we have thought about getting them genetically tested. However, the cost of it does not justify the other things that we need to spend the money on instead. But you can. Cabinet Adams says, yes, dogs can dual sire, sir. Yes, they can. Captain M, thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. All right, jumping back over to YouTube now. So on YouTube, again, I am now exactly 30 minutes behind in the chat. I am 30 minutes behind in the chat. We have 62 people watching. Please smash that like button if you don't mind. I appreciate it. Starting off at 7:35 in the chat, Soul Assassin said, those dudes in Seattle got superheroes patrolling the streets. You can't make this up. Look at the Twitter vid and you'll hear Batman's voice saying, I'm not wearing hockey pads. Yeah, it's ridiculous and completely insane. Orange Chat Review says, sniffs, I smell, sniffs, I smell, sniffs, I smell Dominoes. Ah, yes, Dominoes. Sorry. Hardwick says, there's also a Die Hard ripoff called Skyscraper that features Anna Nicole Smith in the John McClane type role. There's also a version of Skyscraper with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Tina B, I can't risk flying in the day of my Alaska cruise, and yes, it begins and ends in Seattle. I'll fly in on Friday, crew leaves on Sunday, and likely never leave my hotel now. Yeah, it's sad, but you know what? I guess I said you want to be safe. Rather safe than sorry. Bruce says, hi-ho, sorry I'm late. That's okay. But if you were watching Jeremy's stream instead, don't even make me say it now. Don't even make me say it. Max says, Back to the Future 1, Marty saves his parents. Back to the Future 2, Marty saves his kids. Back to the Future 3, Marty saves his friend. That's also a fantastic point right there. HyperX13, context on the movie logo comment. Sorry, my brother. What I meant to say was, what's your favorite movie title or logo design like the Back to the Future on your t-shirt? I would say, once again, because I hate being put on the spot, I'm just going to go with the easy out. This design is fantastic. I love the Back to the Future logo design. It is a lot of fun. It is very, very good. In fact, that's the reason why I not only own this, but also my buddy John Flickinger, he has a shirt that has Back to the Flick Pick on it, and I got that one because I love Back to the Future so much. Laura Story says, left work at the internet service provider, so I have internet now. Isn't that just so insane? Isn't that just so insane that that's how it works? Tina Bojan, what's going on, says, according to Wikipedia's, Roger Ebert pointed out Barb Wire's plot was identical to Casablanca and derided the lowbrow attempts at sensuality, but praised the cast and crew's approach. Wow. Interesting that Roger Ebert would give praise to that. I've never seen it, but it doesn't come across as something that was good. Again, that's just me. Max says, actually, Lynch started Twin Peaks. It was phenomenal. Then when he left the show, the producers ruined it and did things to the character Lynch said he would never do. And then it sounds like he came back and didn't do a good job. That's what I'm hearing. Edgardo Martinez, who's a member on the channel, says, Lynch did the original Twin Peaks. Great series. Couldn't watch past second season or the third season. Tina B, then also adding to this, says, Lynch created Twin Peaks, directed and wrote many of the episodes for seasons 1 and 2. Season 3, Showtime gave him a blank check to do whatever he wanted, so he had free reign. Okay, so it sounds like he is definitely to blame for that. Forever Sci-Fi, Amazon does that with their free, quote-unquote free IMDb movies. If you try and skip a few seconds, it goes to the next commercial break and won't let you go back. Well, again... That is the price of free, unfortunately. In fact, that's how I originally was watching the Sarah Connor Chronicles, and I was so annoyed by it that's what made me seek out the Blu-ray set and buy the Blu-ray set. And great decision, by the way, because it's a great series. Let's see. Hardwick says they're making a movie called The Habit, starring Bella Thorne as a girl with a Jesus fetish masquerading as a nun, and features Jesus, played by Paris Jackson, becoming her lover. Yeah, that's disturbing, but you know what? I'm not going to burn down anything because of it. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to personally boycott it. I'm going to explain why I think that it's offensive, but you know what? If you want to see it, you have every right to see it, and they have every right to make it as well. HyperNex13. Don't forget that Spike Lee did the Old Boy remake. He's a disgraceful filmmaker, in my opinion. I don't like him or any of his work. And again, I think that he has great qualities in a lot of the work that he's done. I haven't seen that remake, but I have heard that it is terrible, especially in comparison to the original, which I still need to see. Tina B says, Season 3 was 18 hours. I will never get back again. Lynch wrote and directed. It told us nothing to solve the cliffhangers of the old Season 2. He had 25 years, gave us nothing. And that is one of the many reasons why I do not like David Lynch. Zabe Denton, what's going on, Zabe? Says, I'm the same way with politics. Wasn't a huge fan of Trump, but the severe TDS and nonsense from the other side makes me want to vote for him out of spite. Exactly, right? It's seriously something where I think there's going to be a lot of people that are pushed in that direction. Do you honestly think that anyone that is independent or moderate, living in California, living in Washington State, looking at all of this nonsense is going to say, oh yeah, I'm voting for the people defending this nonsense? You know, 2020 can go so many different ways. It can either be a massive landslide victory for Trump, or it could be the most divisive election we've ever had in our entire life. Either way, it's going to be bad. Either way, it doesn't matter who wins, right? In my opinion, it does not matter who wins, because politics in our country is completely broken, and all of them need to get kicked out of office. We need term limits, damn it. Bruce says, TDS is just a specific form of PTSD based on the President Trump's win in 2016. So yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah, again, as I said, it's a variation of PTSD. No question about it. Max says, did you just use Nightcrawler as an example of an amazing modern film? I mean, it was good and all, but not amazing. The Flick Pick is the only dude I see praising that film nowadays. I praise it too. There's one thing that me and John agree on wholeheartedly together. It is Nightcrawler being an amazing film. Yes, I agree. Now, do I think it's as good as some of the classic movies that I love? Not necessarily. But as far as modern films go, I think it's one of the best. Laura Story says, Audible will let you return. Well, might have to look into that. I do know this much, though. I think Audible lets you have like 30 days to return. Theoretically, I guess I could listen to it and then finish it and then return it after if I don't want to keep it. Mirror Jeremy says, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington will be about AOC. I can just see it now. Good Lord, spare me, please. Darth Moral, as much as I love the cinema experience, after seeing how Hollywood has been these past 3 weeks, they have gotten worse. Maybe it's time for full boycott of Hollywood, and I think that's going to be up to the individual person, because I still love movies. At the end of the day, I still love movies. I still enjoy the movie-going experience. And I would argue that a large portion of Hollywood is either secretly against this stuff or just silent on it. And you can argue, and you can definitely justify for yourself that that's enough for you to boycott them too. But for me, it's like, if I can go watch a movie with people that are not going to pontificate to me, I'm going to go do that. It's still escapism, right? And I still enjoy the experience of escapism. And that's, again, going back to Da 5 Bloods by Spike Lee. It's not escapism, right? As soon as you escape into it, all of a sudden, boom, he throws in a modern reference that's so out of place with what he's trying to tell, it destroys it, right? It destroys the escapist narrative. It destroys the escapist intention. And it makes me very, very sad. So, yeah. And by the way, who just went live? Of course, yeah. Well, I know. John Flickinger, my friend, he just went live. Of course he did. Of course. Of course. Luckily, he went live at the end of my stream, or towards the end of my stream. But anyway, much love to John. He's awesome. By the way, he should be coming up my way because we're going to be doing a project together this weekend. So look forward to more information about that once it happens. Slasher Neon says, never stand behind Josh Gad. Just some friendly advice for you all. Yes, because if he detaches his jaw to eat gravel, he might poop it out. True story. That's what happens in Artemis Fowl. Darth Moral, I know it seems unfair as not everyone in Hollywood is bad. However, most of them are bad. The only way they will learn is if we stop giving them money. And as I said, I don't think it's most. I really honestly don't. It seems like it because there are so many that are outspokenly insane, but there's so many more that just don't ever say anything. I'll give you a great example. Have you ever heard Keanu Reeves say anything political? I mean, I haven't. I've never seen him in the news. I've never seen him brought up. But I would say that's a great example of a guy that I would be willing to go and support, even if other people that are crazy are in the film with him. If he's the lead, I go watch it still because I want to support him. And I want to show, hey, you're not getting involved in this nonsense. I will support you. Tina B says, the Godfather movie is far superior to the book. I didn't need several middle chapters of the life of Sonny's mistress having surgery to correct an issue she had. Yeah, that's the one that Tina always goes to as her go-to for there are certain times when the books are not as good as the movie. And I always love when she mentions Godfather. Obviously, part 3 doesn't exist in this universe, but... Forever Sci-Fi says, I prefer books. I spent 36 hours straight reading the last Harry Potter when it came out. It did mess with my sense of reality a bit, though. Yeah, 36 hours. That's a long time to dedicate to a fictional universe, but hey, I understand. Trust me, I understand. I've done movie marathons before, and it's a very similar concept. Latino Slant is here. What's going on, Latino Slant? Thanks for being a member on the channel. I appreciate it. Hardwick says, you have to at least admit that Haley Atwell was gorgeous in that Pillars of the Earth miniseries. Again, I thought that she was great casting because she's a great actress, but that doesn't fix anything. Alex Martinez says, hello there. Hello, Alex Martinez. Hope y'all doing well. Selected Neons. Ivan Ortega just uploaded a video mocking celeb collab vids. Where has that little rascal been? He's been busy. Again, life sometimes gets in the way, but I'm glad he's back. Forever Sci-Fi. I was one of those people who read the Lord of the Rings books after seeing the movies. Boom. There you go. Tina B. My mother and I actually read the Dune books after we saw the movie in '84 because we were like, okay, we need to know more. We needed that background, but that was us. Well, Tina, I think that there is a segment of people that are like that, where they see something that's bad or completely bonkers, like Dune 84, and then they say, what were they trying to say? What was this story supposed to be? And that's when they seek out the book. But I would argue, I think that most of us could agree that you're more likely to get a greater number of people if it's good versus if it's bad, right? As far as seeking out to read and learn more. Latino Slant says, Odin, how's your week, my brother? It's going fine. Going to a lot of doctor's appointments. I've been to the dentist twice this week, to 2 different dentists, because apparently I need crowns and it's expensive. And I thought going to a person in network would be better. Turns out my insurance, it's the exact same. So actually the new dentist I went to charged more for the same procedure because it just costs more from them. And because the breakdown's the same, it costs more even though they're in network. It didn't make any sense. So we're holding off on that one for a little bit because it's insane. When they're asking you to spend at least $1,400 on 2 crowns, that's a bit much. That's a little bit of cash. Hypernex13, Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings 78 versus David Lynch's Dune 84. Wait, is that like the animated movie? The animated movie's fantastic. The animated Hobbit's great. I never saw the animated Lord of the Rings, but the animated Hobbit is wonderful. It's wonderful. Max says, have you seen Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet movie from 96? It's completely unabridged and filmed cinematically. No, I haven't, but it sounds amazing. Kenneth Branagh's a talented dude. I honestly still cannot believe that dude had anything to do with Artemis Fowl. I just choose to not believe it. Tina B says, I had once hoped for a sequel to Master and Commander because there are 20 books in O'Brien's series, but that was in 2002 or 2003. Now I don't want them coming near it, and I don't blame you. Modern Hollywood probably would not give it the same fair treatment and accurate treatment that they did back in 2002, 2003. NG1TAV, thank you for that $10 super sticker where they said thank you. Thank you, NG1. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, bro. And I hope you enjoy the image of little Willow right there. It's fairly cute. Alex Martinez says, honestly, I feel like most of Hollywood, especially studios, are way out of touch and lost their passion or never had it to make actual well-made movies. It's all about cash grabs now. Yeah, it is. And I think that Greta, who is a person that's always on the channel, one of my mods, amazing person, please check out her channel. Her name is Greta Zenner. And she, I think, made the best point, saying Hollywood always has different ages, right? You have the golden age of cinema. You have, obviously, the time where Westerns were the thing, sci-fi, action, right? We're in the age of the sequels. And that's what she pointed out. And I think that's a very good point. We are in the age of sequels, prequels, remakes, and we're lacking a lot of original content in modern-day Hollywood. And you're right. It's because they are not only morally, but also creatively bankrupt. Max says the studio made it into 3 movies. He wanted 2 movies. And I think that that's a fair point to make about the studio's involvement there, but even 2 movies is a bit much for that book when you actually break it down. Especially, again, I understand, like, trust me, dude, I'm willing to blame the studio for part of it, but you cannot give Peter Jackson a complete pass on that because he is the one that decided to put in random stuff that was not in the books into the movie instead. So gotta keep putting him, you gotta keep him in check too. You gotta put him and make sure that he also has that sense of responsibility because he does. Because he does. All right. Chat has jumped on me on YouTube. Let's see where we are. Looks like some comments were indeed skipped. It's 7:59 in the chat. It's 8:22 where I am, so I'm still 22 minutes behind. So hopefully everyone's okay, and hopefully not a whole lot of comments were skipped. But let me go ahead and jump over to my DLive fam, so that way I can catch up with them. Let's see. Will Gentry says, it's going to be the most divisive no matter what. Trump wins a landslide. The lefty loons are going to go Tonto. Yeah, it doesn't matter. If he wins or loses, it's going to be insane because one side will go insane. Captain Mr. Roy, thank you very much for the 2 diamond donations. I appreciate very much your generosity, Mr. Roy. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. You are the best. All righty, let us see. Will Gentry says, I really do wonder what is going to happen over the next 100 years. We've all been born in a very stable time. He says, 1 of 2. But the next 100 years could be crazy. It could be the fall of the West if this stuff keeps up. Oh, yeah. I think, it's interesting that you have so many people from various religious backgrounds that are comparing what's going on right now to the end times. And even though I don't believe that, because I believe in the words of Scripture, you will not know the hour, I do think they have a fair case. Again, I don't believe it myself, but I think a fair case could be made that the end is nigh because of all the nonsense. Cam D. Nice, thank you much for the 3 ice creams. I appreciate it. All right, back to the YouTube chat. Alice Martinez says, hugs, good to be back. I've been trying to catch any love streams I can. I think you meant live streams, but I like that you said love streams instead. I've been silent for a while, though. I love this community. Keep up the great work, my guy. Alex Martinez, thank you so much, man, and I'm so glad to have you back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Baxter, who's a member of the channel, says, they are precious. I love them. I love my pups. Hardwick says, Pizzagate is a theory that the pedo ring masquerades at a pizza company. Yeah, so, all right, cool. That's being covered. All right, that's another Pizzagate. We covered that already. Forever Sci-Fi says, maybe that's how we can clear out the Chaz. Just play Trump speeches over loudspeakers and then pick up people as they lie twitching on the ground. You know what the sad thing is that you would probably get that kind of reaction. The reason why I would say we shouldn't is because I would fear for the safety of anyone playing those speeches, because they would try to destroy the speaker so that they didn't have to hear it anymore out of a reaction. Because there's obviously a problem going on there, but I don't want more violence. I just want it to stop. Rob D, hey, Odin, Good Burger was a fun movie. It is such a fun movie. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, because we're all dudes, hey. Stephanie B, by the way, shout out to you. Glad to see you in the chat. Don't think I gave you your proper shout out. She always uses in our chat sometimes one of the best scenes from the movie, and I'll let her say what one of the best scenes in the movie is that she likes to use all the time. It's great. Hologram Nunchuck says, hail, what's going on? Hologram Nunchuck, glad to see you here. Harvick says the TSA has announced that they are going to be using floppy-eared dogs like Labradors because people are intimidated by pointy-eared dogs like German Shepherds. Well, that makes me sad, because German Shepherds are freaking adorable, and it's great. Let's see. Gigabus Prime says, when you put your camera on your dogs, it felt like the shopping channel reviewing dog instead of diamonds. Nice, Gigabus. Let's see. Jeffrey Turner, a.k.a. Mega71, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, hail, King Odin. Glad to see you again. I've been setting up lore channels, streaming GTA San Andreas, and setting a Street Fighter 5 dojo. For me, it was Tuesday. Well, nice. Sounds like you had a busy day. Good, sir. Hail, and thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Sasha Neon says, 50 Shapes of Water by Spike Lee, Odin's favorite upcoming film. Good Lord, no. Max says, on John's podcast, you said your wife doesn't like to sit and watch movies. How does she watch them? By standing? I get you, Max. I appreciate that comment. Sometimes, maybe. She does like standing desks. I can say that much. She does not like sitting around in general. But yes. That's awesome, Max. I'm just gonna leave it at that, man. I'm gonna leave it at that. Glowing the Hobbit says, how excited are you to watch Dirty Harry tomorrow on your Welcome to Asgard channel? Glowing the Hobbit, thanks for the plug, man. By the way, if you want to watch Dirty Harry tomorrow morning from 1971, it'll be my first time watching it ever. We're watching it over on my second channel, the Welcome to Asgard channel. So again, the Welcome to Asgard channel. Please think about joining us. Hit subscribe, hit the bell notification. There's already an event there for it, so you can click the reminder link there to make sure that you get notified when we go live. It'll be starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So again, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. So wherever you are in the world, just transfer it to Eastern Time. 9 a.m. is when we're starting. The movie won't start exactly at 9 a.m. We'll start the stream, get everything going. And the way that I have it work is that I have a clock set up. So if you have your own copy of Dirty Harry that you want to watch on a television or anything like that, boom, you can put it up and you can, match the time codes and you can watch it along with us. If you don't have access to it or you're watching it on your computer or anything to that effect, what you could do is if you join my Discord server, and I'll post a link to the Discord server tomorrow morning when we're actually doing the movie. What happens is that you can join the Discord server, jump into one of the voice channels, and basically what Discord allows me to do is share my screen, and so you guys basically get to watch the movie with me. And so that's kind of how you get around the legality of it, is because I'm not letting you download it, I'm not giving you free access to it, you're merely watching the movie with me. It's like no different than if I were to put it on television, invite you all to my home, and you all watch it with me. So that's my mindset at the very least of how I justify it, but it works good so far. It's worked well so far. Someone in Australia who has terrible internet has been able to watch a lot of the movies with us and has not had any major issues. So it might not be perfect because obviously it is still free access over a Discord server. But if that's something that interests you, tomorrow morning we are watching Dirty Harry. So boom. Jeffrey Turner, aka Mega81, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, I can't join Hollywood. Is it because I'm white? Boom, son. That's definitely in the spirit of some Good Burger right there. HyperDex13 says, those with TDS Be like Chuck from Better Call Saul with his ridiculous space blanket electromagnetic hypersensitivity condition. Crap, Hyperen. That's an amazing reference, and you are completely right. If you have never seen Better Call Saul, first, please watch it. It's a fantastic series. It is awesome. And yes, the character of Chuck has a fake illness where he believes that he's sensitive to electromagnetic hypersensitivity. It's all in his mind. That's exactly what TDS is. Yes. Rob D says, in your next Raven Awards, you need to have 2 special categories: most disappointing movie delay and best straight to VOD movie. I might need to change my categories, but if I do, I'm not adding or subtracting anything as far as numbers go, because screw the Oscars for combining the sound categories and making it 23 instead of 24. I like being able to do the bowling aspect of it. Hardwick says, you're finally starting to watch pitch meeting videos. I remember when you didn't watch them because they were on Screen Rant's channel. Well, also because I get told about things on stream and I forget about them because I have ADD and that's just how my mind works. But someone sent them to me and I finally was able to have time to watch them. And yeah, they're fun. Gigamus Prime, I still don't get the need to cancel Paw Patrol over a police dog being on the show. Why are people so crazy? Because it's 2020. The fact that we have someone attacking Domino's because of a tweet from 8 years ago where they thanked a customer who just so happens to be working for the president's administration in the United States is insane. It's a clown world that we're living in, man. It's crazy. By the way, once again, shout out to Domino's for saying only in 2020 could you be attacked for thanking a customer 8 years ago who was in college at the time. Cancel Venom says, The Last Jeremy. TLJ, The Last Jeremy. Nice. Bruce says, context on being late. No, I was just nabbing. Is that a mixture of napping and dabbing? Nabbing? I don't know what that would look like, but Tina says, supposedly Paw Patrol isn't being canceled. That'd be nice. Yeah, I'm wondering if that was just like rumors and speculation. And like, I'm assuming what happened was the Twitter mob started a petition to try and cancel it versus it actually being canceled. But again, I can't confirm that for sure. I cannot confirm that. Tina B says, remember folks, David Lynch came close to directing Return of the Jedi. Let that sink in. Thank God he didn't, man. If David Lynch directed Return of the Jedi, our memory of the original trilogy would be vastly different. Cancel Venom, have you watched that Inner Space yet? I sound like a broken record. Love your old house and videos. Canceled Venom, also known as Zero Duality. No, but I do own it now. So I do own Inner Space on Blu-ray, and I recently digitized it so I can use this as a movie watch. So I can stream it through my Discord because it doesn't work nearly as well if it's playing a Blu-ray through the computer versus the digitized version of the film instead through VLC. So this can be an option. So basically, if you are planning to watch the movie stream tomorrow, again, we're watching Dirty Harry tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, and you want the film next week on Monday, that's going to be our next stream, to be Inner Space, suggest it at the end of the stream. And if there's a general consensus of people wanting to watch it, it'll win, and then we can watch it on Monday. If not, then we'll put it to a vote on Twitter, and then the people will decide. And I'm imagining Inner Space will probably get a fair amount of votes because a lot of people have said, watch it. Anyway, Bruce says, I just noticed on Clownfish TV, Artemis Fowl is a Disney Plus disaster, 9% Rotten Tomatoes score. Yeah, even the critics cannot defend it. Sasha Neon says, spin the UFO. Oh, wait, wrong pool party. Never mind. Gigamus, what do you think could be a cure for TDS? Holy water, an exorcism, getting Alf to slap them, threaten to eat their cats? Nah. Just a lot of prayer, man. Just a lot of prayer. Hardwick says, there are already some solid adaptations of Dune and Children of Dune. There were miniseries made by Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah, someone had mentioned that earlier. I'm definitely planning to look into it at the very least. Tina says, Audible gives you about a year to return. I returned a book I read for a book club series because I never read it again. Wait, really? A year? That's awesome. I might have to do that then. Rob D, what are your thoughts on Pizza Hut? Have you ever had it? Do you like it? I had Pizza Hut today, he says. Pizza Hut's okay, but my ranking, these are fast food chains, by the way, national chains, would be Domino's at the top, Little Caesars after that. I haven't had it recently, but my childhood memories are just very, very high. And then I would put Pizza Hut, and then I would put Papa John's. I've never been a fan of Papa John's. The only thing that Papa John's did well is they provided you the dipping sauce in every single package. But without that dipping sauce, it's not anything special. So, and when they supposedly updated the recipe, I actually think it became worse. I remember when they used to put the pepperonis underneath the cheese, and it was like delicious and was so good. And then you had the little dipping sauce, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Anyway, Gigamus Prime, if good movies are escapism, does that mean woke movies are trapism? I see what you did there. Forever Sci-Fi, Keanu Reeves is a true gentleman and a man of the people. Damn right he is. Have you ever seen him respecting women? Look at any photo of him with women. His hands are always floating, never touching. That's a man right there. Zacharot315 says, hello. What's going on, Zacharot? Hello, hello. Bruce says, one book that is better than the movie, Battlefield Earth. I still need to see the movie. Hardovic says, from what I've heard, Armus Fowl is straight up villain in the first book, then develops into a hero in the sequels, and is very ruthless even as a hero. Yeah, everything I've been told, as I said, a lot of fans of the book have been leaving comments on my review, and they have said that is one of the major plot points of the movie, or one of the plot holes of the movie, is that he is not a villain. And they try and play it both ways, and it just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. Tina says, you missed my comment before, but my mom and I only went to see Dune 84 for one reason, Sting. She was a huge fan. We saw him live concert a few days before. Oh, damn. Yeah, and you know what? I would argue that Sting is one of the cringiest parts of the movie. Also, I love the money shot where he comes out wearing basically like a Speedo. It's like, oh, I can see what you did there, man. I don't know if that was the studio or not, but I don't know. Jeffrey Turner, aka MegaJenny1, thank you for the $2 super chat, says, I'm writing a pitch for a Vader and Leia standalone. Nice, dude. Let us see. Eric Peralta says, hey, Odin, how's it going with your day? It's going fine. Eric Peralta, thank you for being here, good sir. Forever Sci-Fi, my dentist tried to get me to do a crown, but I've refused. I've seen my dad constantly having to get them fixed. I'd rather lose a tooth. They'll be regrowing them in a few years anyway. That's a fair point. Tina says, you haven't shouted out my beloved Valkyrie, Steph. You probably will by the time you see this. And yes, I did. I love, again, Tina is always on top of things. Tina's like, hey, I know that you're probably going to end up figuring this out, but just in case you don't. Love it. Thank you. But yes, of course, shout out to Steph. Eric says, YouTube is shadow banning me with my other accounts. Eric, if you're the same Eric I'm thinking about, it's not YouTube shadow banning me. It's me shadow banning you because you kept trolling the last stream and you kept harassing. So if you're the same Eric that I'm thinking of, so calm down as long as you don't want your other account to get banned. Just gonna put it out there, man. All right, I do need to start wrapping things up because we are at an hour and 40 minutes. So let's see where we left off in the YouTube chat. It looks like no comments have been skipped. So let me just catch up on D-Live real quick because we have 12 people watching over there right now. Captain Heist, thank you again for those ice creams. Will Gentry says, well, just look at Rome. Look at what Rome was like before it fell, full of a kind of decadence we're seeing. That's a fair point, Will. That's a very good point. It was full of the kind of corruption, crazy thinking, and decadence and deviance we are seeing now. So I do wonder, as I said, I think it's an interesting thing to look into. King David, thank you for following. Forest Guy, thank you for the lemon donation. I appreciate it, bruv. All right, and I am caught up on D-Live. Fantastic. Let us see here. I'm going to have to start skipping some comments. Sorry, everybody. I'm skipping comments now, so it's not that I didn't see it. It's that I just have to start skipping because we got to start wrapping things up. Slash Neon says, a modern Master Commander would be about the evils of white colonialism. Yes. Yes, there's no doubt about that. Dina Bojan, after experiencing the heartbreak that is HBO's Game of Thrones, I'm terrified of what Amazon will do with Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time novels. I would trust... Here's the thing. I wouldn't even put as much blame on HBO as on Benioff and Weiss. I think HBO gave them control and believed in them because they honestly thought Benioff and Weiss could do it on their own, and they were very, 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 very mistaken. Bruce says, context 2020 election, no matter what, only the left will go insane. Well, I think, let's be fair, there are people on the right that will go insane too. But I see the main point you're trying to make. Tina says, yes, damn right. 70B says, Senpai noticed me. Is it because... There it is, Steph. There it is. She says, Senpai noticed me. Is it because I'm black? If you don't know that line, and if you don't know that quote, Drop everything you're doing and go watch Good Burger. Kel Mitchell. That's all I'm going to say. It's so good. So good. All right. Orange Eye Review says they just went after Aunt Jemima on Twitter claiming it's rape. Of course they did. We can't have anything anymore. Canceled Venom says, I love you. I love you, Canceled Venom. Sasha Neon says, you will hate me for saying this, but I kind of want to watch The Outsiders gets big. It's not because anyone wants to watch the movie. It's when you keep asking the same question over and over and over and over. Sicer, I love you, though. Gigamis, I sometimes think Twitter is some kind of CIA mind control experiment. I don't know about that. I think it's just kind of like human nature, unfiltered. Bruce says, Barbarella for movie morning watch. Oh, Bruce. Tina says, I'm so worn out by the suggestion of The Outsiders. I never have to see it. Can we watch it? Why can't we watch it? Oh, the salt's coming out from Tina. I love it. Zabe says, I used to like Papa John's, but I'm not going to patronize a restaurant that kicked out their founder, even if it was his own stupidity. Again, do I think him saying the word that he said was good? No. Do I think that he should have been fired because he said it? No. If you actually look at the context of that conversation and how he said it, he didn't mean it in a way that was attacking. You know, like he was making an historical point about the use of that word. So it's like, I don't think he should have said it. I don't say it in my regular conversations or in life in general, but yeah. Forever Sci-Fi, you need to roll up to Michigan for their chain of Hungry Howie's. They have Cajun crust and spicy red sauce option. That sounds amazing. I've only been to Michigan a few times in my life. Tina says, no, we are not watching Battlefield Earth. The whole movie is shot at a Dutch angle. If we do, I'm bringing a gallon of bourbon. We need to watch it then. It settles it. Tina's going to be rolling up there at 9 a.m. with a gallon of bourbon. It's going to be a fun day for Tina. Soul Assassin, you might like the Dune miniseries from Sci-Fi. I heard it's good. Again, that's what I've been hearing too. Tina says, Sting and a Speedo. My mom and I had a huge smile on for that. Sue me, we're women, and my mom, R.I.P. Rest in peace, Tina Mama. And yeah, trust me. And I love how it's like, only men are so toxic and oogling after the women. And it's like, I just got to bring up my Valkyrie, right? Now, okay, so not only now can I just bring up Jason Momoa, but now I can bring up Sting when it comes to Tina. That's awesome though, girl. Alrighty, let's see. Let's try to get through as many comments as I can. Bruce says, OMG, you have to watch Battlefield Earth. It has to be online somewhere. I'm sure it is. And again, if we can find a way to make it work through a streaming service and it gets voted on unanimously, it might happen. Game is Prime, how did the people of Rome survive after Rome fell? Many of them didn't. And many of them were pushed out. Mirror Jeremy, did you watch Jeremy's stream with Cameron? I did not watch it yet. I have way too many things to watch. HyperX13 says, Anna, do you want to build a meth lab? I'm the one who gets, this is so weird. I'm the one who knocks. Get out of the way. This is my own private domicile, and I will not be harassed. I don't see how those other ones work with the rhythm you set up. I don't see it. It doesn't make sense. Christina Nodan says, I see you've shaved all your hair off. I did, Christina. And I do plan to keep it up for a little bit, at least for the summer, because it's just very, I don't know, there's something that I like about it. I like having the short hair anyway. But as you can see, it is growing out a little bit. And the reason why is because you can't see it, but I actually have a bandage on the back of my head because I had it's called like a hemangioma. So it's basically an external blood vessel. And I nicked it when I was doing one of my shaves. And obviously, I don't want to have to deal with it every single time I do it. And so I had to get it basically soldered off or burnt off essentially today. And yeah, so that should be, at least a week of having a bandage on it before I could probably feel comfortable enough to shave it without it, getting infected or disgusting or anything like that. But we'll see. Harbuck says, have you heard of All Is True in 2019, directed by Kenneth Branagh and stars Branagh as William Shakespeare, Judi Dench as his wife? I watched it and found it disappointing. I have not seen it or heard of it. 70B says, yikes, it's fine. It's all good. Again, I got my teeth cleaned today, though, which was nice. But then, of course, also, I need to get crowns at some point because one of my teeth is chipped. So one really should get some work done on it. And I think the only thing I can do for it at this point is get a crown. The other problem too is that I had two of my front teeth, or rather two teeth in the front knocked out actually when I was younger. Not when I was younger, about 5 or 6 years ago at this point. And because of that, I needed to get work done, so I had a root canal done on those. And basically, when you get a root canal, not only do the nerve endings get taken out, but also, the blood vessels as well, which means blood flow does not go to those teeth anymore, which means they become brittle and easier to break. And so they basically are on a timer, and eventually they will crack. Eventually, they will get damage done to them. So, yeah. Zabe Denton says, need to wear the helmet on camera. Golden Ration says, who did you fight, Odin? I didn't fight anybody. In fact, I was working at a summer camp and I was running full speed down a court. We were playing a game, and then one of the kids jumped out in front of me. I couldn't stop in time because I was at that time I was 200 pounds running full speed. And so I literally got low to stop myself. I literally run into the back of the kid's head. Kid was fine, by the way. Had a little tiny bump. I'm on the floor, two of my teeth hanging out by a thread, blood pouring out my mouth, and I'm actually fine. I'm actually not in pain. I'm just freaking out because I'm like, I'm pretty sure my teeth are out. There's blood on the floor. This is not good. And so I go to my dentist, who was my hockey coach when I was younger. He pushes them back in, and then he sends me to a friend of his who is an orthodontist, got to see me that day, put some braces on me for about 9 months. Yeah, my teeth have gone through a lot. So I want to protect them as much as I can, but also I don't want to spend, $1,400 to get it done. Oh, man. Rob D says, Odin's dental blog. Exactly. 70B says, root canal. I see what you did there. Anyway, let's catch up on D Live, and then we'll call it a day. Captain Mr. Roy, Battlefield Earth has a 3% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I must see it. I guarantee you it will be better than Artemis Fowl. I can already predict that. Clad Frog. Oh, I don't know who you are. Hopefully you're not a troll, but Clad Frog, great character from South Park. And then Bruce says, Bruce, come on, man. I can deal with the misspellings, man, but when you retract it when I'm in the middle of reading it, no, I'm done. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching tonight. This has been a fun stream. We still have 63 people watching, so please make sure that you smash that like button before the stream ends. And as I mentioned earlier, if you want to join us again, go ahead and subscribe over to the Welcome to Asgard channel. You can click in the link of the description of this video, or just type in on YouTube, Welcome to Asgard. It should be the first stream should be the first channel that pops up. You'll notice it has my logo, only it's in green instead of in the gray that you see on this channel. Subscribe to it, hit the reminder button on the event for tomorrow's stream of Dirty Harry from 1971. Again, you can either watch your own copy along with us, or you can join the Discord tomorrow morning and join us to watch it over there, as I will be streaming it through the Discord. So that way you can watch it at the same time as I do, and we can have a little watch-along party. It should be a lot of fun. It's my first time ever seeing Dirty Harry in my life. And then, of course, if you watch the stream, at the end of the stream, you will actually have the opportunity to vote on the very next film. So thank you everyone for being here this evening. Thank you once again to my Valks, to my mods, especially Stephanie B and Tina, who are always here, always do a great job, are always having my back, and of course, keeping me sane, keeping me on my toes, and just being amazing and beautiful people. And as my D-Live fam are saying, breathtaking. So thank y'all so much for being here this evening. My D-Live fam, y'all stick around. You all know that I will take care of y'all as I try to normally do. Have a wonderful night, every single person out there in the world, and I shall see you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Welcome to Asgard channel, Dirty Harry. Make my day. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and as always, God bless. And now a huge shout out to all of my June Patreon members: Albertus Magnus, Animation Commentator, Brian P., David Bobrizik, Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, hail to you, Father, Frank the Tank and the Shawhan Wiener Dog Clan, Harold Francis, the Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jeffrey Toon, Kenneth Cameo, Lady T, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, Orange Hat Reviews, Outpost Dyer, Out of Step with Reality, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Teresa Martin, Theodore Benton, Tina Bojan, The DJD Show, and Tina B. And also to my Subscribestar members Edgardo Martinez, John B., Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, G2 Cool 99, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, Harold Francis, J. Rod, the Beer Guru, and also Nebanon G. Adams and ZK Man. And Jonathan Carney. Thank you all so much for being a member of Patreon and Subscribestar. And seriously, it really does mean a lot. Helps keeps the light on, helps me able to do things like the giveaways for my $5 and up backers on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also be able to put more stuff into the actual channel itself, including upgrading different components, whether it be webcams, microphones, things like that. All of that helps to support it, and it really does mean a lot. So thank you all so very much. Please, if you want to have your name shouted out or look at any of the other perks, which include things like indeed having access to exclusive 4K digital giveaways every single month, and also an exclusive podcast hosted on Patreon and Subscribestar, and also YouTube memberships as well at the $10 and up level, featuring John the Flick Pig Flickinger. Please check all of those things out in the description of this video. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless. And also a shout out to Jacob Juice. I promise I will add you to, I'll add the new one and the new shout out to this stream. But Jacob Juice, thanks for being in the chat tonight, and have a wonderful night, everybody.